You're listening to a Frequency Podcast Network production.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Welcome to Friday. My name is Brock.
I'm Dalby.
We're going on vacation for a week, so we will have a special edition podcast for you, I think, on like Wednesday next week. But other than that, you're pissing off to BC there, right?
Yeah. Every year, my parents are nice enough to take their grandchildren for a month or so, and they get to go live by the ocean, and I get to live a little bit of a bachelor life.
How long do you think you can get away with doing that? Because there's going to come a time where your kids are going to be like, I don't want to go to Grandma and Grandpa's house.
I honestly think this might be the last year, and it's not because the kids have given me any indication. Yeah. They are still very excited. All they've been talking about is they can't wait to see Grandma and Grandpa. But they're also both starting to make a lot more friends, like in school and stuff like that. And I think that is what's going to... It's not that they don't want to go see Grandma and Grandpa. They don't want to miss out on 2 months of hanging out.
Well, and you're getting close to puberty years. You're going to get your I first hate you soon.
Brother, we don't need to talk about that.
Dude. Yeah.
And it's not because I'm like grossed out about it. I'm just not ready. I'll tell you that right now. Because I remember being unhinged at that age.
Yeah.
I'm not, and they're only 2 years apart, which means I'm going to get through it with one of them just in time for the other one.
No, they're going to be going through it at the same time, dude. Like,
I'm not looking forward to this whatsoever.
It's going to be hell, dude. And like, I'm not ready for the day where you come in and you're like, Mark told me he hates me. Like, I don't know how as a parent, like, I remember saying it to my parents. Dude, yeah. I remember calling my mom a bitch one time.
Really?
Oh, and my dad lost my shit. I was like, I fucking hate you guys.
Damn.
And he was like, oh yeah, go to your room. And I was like, did that fucking...
The re? I got in fights with my mom, like verbally, like we would cuss at each other, but I don't think I ever called her a name. I lived in fear of my mom.
I called my mom a bitch one time, and I'll tell you, I've never, ever slighted my mother ever again.
Dude.
I felt her wrath for a very long time. She was not a female dog. Okay?
No, absolutely not. Never say that.
I think she took the mentality of, you want to see a bitch? I think that's the route she kind of went down.
You go Disney villain all of a sudden, like, oh, I'm the bad guy?
Yeah.
All right, then.
I think sometimes as a parent, you got to have the fuck around and find out mentality, honestly.
Oh, now you got me all invigorated. Now I want to go home and be like, you want to have puberty? Bring it on.
Count your blessings, dude.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
NBA draft is going on right now, and for the first time in NBA history, there will be a father-son duo, as the LA Lakers drafted LeBron James' kid.
Yeah.
Well, his name's LeBron James Jr., but I guess they call him Bronny James.
Bronny James.
It's not the first time in sports this has happened. I mean, Gordie Howe played with his kids. What was it when he played for Houston or whatever it was?
Something like that. It wasn't Detroit. I know that. But yeah.
It was when he was in the WHA. And then, of course, Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. played on the Mariners together for a bit.
It doesn't happen very often because what it is you have to have the dad has to have a lengthy sports career.
Yeah.
Then you have to have the son have at least some talent.
Well, it's not like going to go work at your old man's body shop or something, right?
Yeah, you can't get like just an internship because your old man's been around for a while.
My thing is, and a lot of people are like ripping on the Lakers for this. They're like, oh, they're just picking it because it was LeBron's kid. I mean, absolutely. They just signed LeBron James to this huge deal.
Right.
My thing is, though, if Bronny James is good enough, cracks the roster, does he call LeBron dad?
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is he out there on the floor and he's like, hey, Dad. Like,
call him, Dad, I'm open. Dad, throw me the ball.
Because I don't even know. I've never worked with someone who's like works with their dad.
Yeah.
Like, do you call your dad at work? Probably not.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's, you got to think like there's got to be some level of workplace professionalism where I just don't think you can call them dad. Because I think if you call them dad, then it opens up the whole Nepo conversation, right?
Yeah.
Because then it's just like, LeBron James is going to hear it from a lot of people already about his kid. Like, anytime his kid has a bad game, whoever's guarding LeBron is going to be in his ear talking smack. If Bronny is across the court going, Dad, I'm open, it's going to get so much worse.
Well, do you even think he's going to step up and be like, you can't talk to my son like that? Leave my son alone.
The ref comes over and is getting in Bronny's face about like a technical foul. LeBron's like, don't you talk to my son.
Yeah, if someone like fouls his son pretty hard, like, is that going to make him I mean, because I think like any parent, if you see your kid get like hit, struck, whatever.
It's instinct.
You get that father instinct in there. Like,
100%, yeah.
Or even just, I mean, they're both named LeBron. What are they going to call him? Are they going to go with the Bronny thing? Are they going to call him Junior? Like,
yeah, it's like when you're on a job site and you've got a guy who's been around for a while named Mike, and then there's a new Mike that comes in. So someone's got to have a nickname. We can't be calling you both Bron.
Or is it going to be like when my dad would take me to work with him and everyone would call me Little Man or something?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, little fella.
Hey, sport. What's up, little dude?
Imagine being, even if he's making league minimum in the NBA, an NBA basketball player being referred to as young man.
I'm just curious if he still lives with LeBron or not, because I laugh at the idea of them having a bad game.
And then driving home
The
together.
long drive home like it was with my dad after a hockey game.
I have to think he's making enough money he can get his own place to live. At least get an apartment or something, you know?
He has a bad game and he gets grounded or something.
You know what? Your free throws were a little weak today. Go up to your room.
No Xbox for a week.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
I actually worked for my neighbor doing concrete foundations, and his son worked with us. You'd hear all the time, Daddy, Daddy, Dad.
Oh.
Oh, man.
We were talking about, does he call him Dad? Daddy never factored into the equation.
No, you should never call them Dad at work. It's so annoying. I worked with my old man, and I called him Pete.
Yeah.
Like everybody else on the job site.
I think that's the one place where using your father's first name is acceptable.
It's empowering for you, actually.
It's true.
Is it just me or am I wrong when I say that sometimes, though, when someone works for their dad, I feel like everyone kind of gives you the treatment of the kid whose dad was like the coach of the team.
Oh,
you know?
100%. Nobody looks at you like you earned your way into that job. It's like, your dad's
Either
the boss.
you work harder than everyone on the job site, or you're written like an idiot.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it doesn't help if you're going, Daddy.
Dad, they're picking on me. Yeah, no. Doesn't work well in carpentry, boys.
You need to have that like Scott Evil mentality and pretend like you don't care.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Big event coming up this weekend. It is the International Congress on Obesity this week because we're all getting fat.
Yeah.
And there's a dude for the University of Sao Paulo, Professor Carlos Montero, who's going to be speaking at this thing about how we need to look at putting warning labels in the style of tobacco packaging on what he calls ultra-processed foods, which includes things like candy bars, chocolates, pops, fast food.
So he wants to put like a Barb Tar box
basically
on like your Mountain Dew.
Yeah, anything that's been like really heavily processed. So that does it talks about like they call them fizzy drinks. Obviously, we're talking about pop energy drinks there. Also, protein bars fit into that because as healthy as like having all that protein in it is, the amount of processing that goes into it to make a protein bar makes it less healthy than
what are they
going to
have? Are they just going to have like a diabetic like injecting themselves with insulin on there?
The back of the Mars bar packaging just looks like an Ozempic needle. It's like, does this look fun to you? Your Mountain Dew, half the label is just rotting sugary teeth.
I mean, honestly, on pop cans, I think they could show like a thing of maybe this is how much sugar is actually in here.
Oh.
That would make you trip out a little bit.
Honestly, yeah. If like the bottom like 25% or whatever of the can had to be like pure white with the labeling message of like this is the sugar you're about to put in your body.
Yeah.
I think there would be kids that would be like, "Oh, that's cool." The way that like kids my age used to buy Jolt Cola because it specifically said it had more caffeine.
I don't know. I remember it kind of messed me up for a bit because we had someone come into our school and have like a Ziploc bag and was like, this is what's in a can of Coke. And a day I was like, oh, I don't want to drink pop. But then I got over it. But
see, but I think that's the thing. And I think we can speak on this as a pair of ex-smokers. is the labels on the cigarettes never stopped you from buying the
Makes
darts.
you grossed out for a minute. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I know there's people that will be like, give me a different pack because I don't want to look at the teeth. I don't want to look at the lungs, whatever it is. Give me the erectile dysfunction one because I can get over that.
I'm not worried about the limp
That's inevitable.
cigarette.
Like, that's going to happen, right? But I mean, if like, what are you going to do? Just put like a bunch of fatties on there? Like,
Right,
is that it? Like
the picture of those two twins that used to be in the Guinness Book of World
riding
Records.
the motorcycles? Yeah.
They're on the back of every can of Pepsi to let you know what you could do.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing is like, you're right. I'll open the fridge at the 7-Eleven, the Circle K, whatever. I'll see the warning label on a bottle of Mountain Dew or on a Rockstar or something and be like, oh, I'm not going to look at that when I cram this into my face holes.
And also, I do feel like it's a lot meaner for like the models of it because I mean, like the lady that's on the cigarette packets, it's like it's a sad story if you read it on there.
Right.
Versus like, what are you just going to be like? Oh, it's just this guy who just ate too much food. Like
putting out open modeling call for anybody who used to drink too much soda to get on the new warning labels.
Yeah.
Hey, fatty, want to be in an ad campaign? Like, it's not, doesn't have the same ring to it.
Have you weighed yourself today? Is all they could put on like a bag of chips or a chocolate bar. You know?
You know, the crazy thing is that in this ultra processed food category, they're also saying fast food, which would mean that this guy is also suggesting the next time you uncork a Whopper, that there should be a label on there as well.
Listen, my mom sat me and my sister down and made us watch Super Size Me after we ate McDonald's.
Yeah.
It did not change my perspective.
You didn't decide, hey, I don't want to go back and do
We
this
live in
again?
a world where we know all of our consequences, and I think damn well we're all pretty cool with most of them.
Yeah, I would say by about the time you've gotten behind the wheel of a car and pulled it into a McDonald's drive-thru, there's no warning label that's telling you anything you didn't already know.
This is the Brock and Delby Podcast.
Reminder this long weekend, please be smart. Don't drink and drive. And for the love of God, do not blow off your hand with some fireworks.
I took the kids after school the other day to get some snacks because we were like chilling at home. They had a little thing up on the counter that was like fireworks discount. I was like, these should be as expensive as possible. We should not be making these available to absolutely everybody.
They have fireworks at Walmart now. I don't know when they started doing that, but it's kind of like when you drive through the States and they have those fireworks stores everywhere. That's what leading up to Canada Day is like right now.
Yeah, but you're right. Like, it used to feel like it was like this dirty little secret, right? You'd have to find a guy in a Winnebago on the side of a road somewhere with a cardboard sign that says fireworks. And now, you can get them at any big box store. They're all over the place. It's just, they're so accessible, and most people absolutely should not have them.
I was looking at some stats here in Canada of like firework-related injuries.
Oh, God.
And surprisingly enough, Canada Day is not the big day for
Really?
firework injuries. Yes. You want to take a stab at it?
This music always means I'm about to get something wrong.
What holiday do you think has the most firework-related injuries?
Is it New Year's? New Year's Eve, New Year's Day?
It's not New Year's, actually. Not even in the top 3.
Wow. Labor Day? Kind of end of summer?
Not Labor Day.
Damn.
Labor Day's not in the top 3 either.
Is it a long weekend? Or
No.
is it-
The number 1 is not a long weekend.
Not a long weekend. I don't know.
Number 1 is Halloween.
Halloween?
Yeah, apparently 20% of firework injuries happen on Halloween. Number 2 is Victoria Day, and then number 3 is Canada Day. I've never seen fireworks on Halloween before.
Victoria Day actually makes sense. I'm actually bummed
It's a
out
long
I
weekend.
didn't guess,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Canada Day, obviously. Who's shooting? Unless the only thing I can think of is it's people shooting Roman candles at each other.
That's the
on
only one that I
Halloween,
can think of.
right?
Yeah.
It's the whole, hey, trick or treat. Bang, bang, bang. That's a trick.
There's a bunch of other weird stats. 61% of firework injuries are blank. What part of the body do you think gets affected the most by firework injuries, actually? Let's see.
61%.
61%.
It's going to be fingers.
It is not the fingers.
Not Is it eyes?
It's not eyes.
Face?
You're basically close.
Ears?
What's all that part of?
Head.
Yeah.
Okay.
The head. 61% of firework injuries in Canada end up being head related.
I'm really glad that it's that, because if it wasn't head, I was going to assume it was butthole.
I do think the head goes back to the Roman candle thing of people just firing them off at each other.
Shooting at each other. Or there's also the one of like where you put the firework in the ground, light it, and then it falls down, and now it becomes a weapon.
I will say, according to Stats Canada, this is valid, and I do get this. 71% of the injuries are male-related.
Yeah, no, we're dumb.
That makes sense.
We can't argue that one, fellas. That's on us.
Now, the weird thing is only 40% of the injuries occur between the hours of 8 p.m. and 11 p.m., so where does the other 60% occur? I mean, I can roughly guess that between 11 and like maybe 2 a.m.
Yeah, I'm thinking that a lot of them have to be in those wee witching hours, because if you get injured from a firework in the daytime, you deserved it.
If you're setting off fireworks during the day, that's such a weird move.
Hey, do you want to come outside at lunch and just shoot off some Roman candles with me? Like, any injury that happens at that point is well earned.
Yeah. Anything that happens before 8 to 11, what are you doing?
What do they say? It's like nothing good ever happens after dark.
Yeah.
With fireworks, it's the exact opposite. Nothing good ever happens in the daytime with fireworks.
Be safe with your fireworks this weekend. And remember, watch out for each other's heads, all right?
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Did you stay up late to watch any of the U.S. presidential debate yesterday?
Nah, man, I can't support watching that elder abuse.
Dude, it's crazy. Between the two of them, the combined age is 159 years old.
I saw some clips on Twitter and stuff, and it feels so wrong. Like,
honestly,
having those two guys up there, it's just weird.
Like, it was one thing when they were both sitting in the balcony and heckling the Muppets back in the day, but now it just feels sad.
Yeah.
I also found out yesterday that, every president has like their different like buzzwords and slogans and stuff like that. I found out yesterday that one of Joe Biden's slogans is malarkey. Apparently, it's just a word he uses to describe things a lot. Like, this is an actual clip from last night's debate.
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life.
And it's like, you're standing next to Donald Trump, who is, let's just say, known for stretching the truth a little bit. Doesn't it feel like it really takes the oomph out of the insult to call it malarkey?
Who says malarkey?
I'm sure your great-grandparents probably dropped it once or twice back in
Is he
their
bringing
days.
it back? Is that what it is?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, not only was he using it in the debate, if you look on his social media, it's in there a fair amount. Even, I found out yesterday that he is doing pre-sales on his website for water, canned water, called Dark Brandon Secret Sauce, which, by the way, just in and of itself sounds awful.
Yeah, it sounds creepy.
But at the top of the can, where you would normally see like 0 sugar or 0 calories, this one says 0 malarkey.
So that's like his thing. He's trying to bring malarkey back.
He's trying to
make malarkey great again. Is what he's trying to do. That's what it is.
MMA, make malarkey great again.
That's like when you hear someone use like hogwash.
Yeah. Claptrap.
Yeah. What?
You've never heard the term claptrap?
Is that like a chlamydia thing?
No.
I've heard like the clap used in that regard, and claptrap would make sense.
That's what a condom is. Claptrap is like someone talks a lot. I'm hearing a lot of claptrap over
Oh,
there.
okay. So they're all so it's like balderdash.
Yeah,
like
yeah. It's in the same vein
all
as
of those
malarkey.
words, if you hear someone use those, they're trying to sound smart.
Right.
That's all it is.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be shocked to hear them go, I had an onion on my belt, as was the style at the time. Like, it's a word. Like, I had the debate on my second monitor while I was doing some work at the computer, and he drops the malarkey line, and it's like, it's jarring.
Yeah.
Because you're like, did I just fall into a time portal?
He's going to be like, that's a bunch of hooey. You hear me?
Just waiting for President Joe Biden to call ex-President Donald Trump a rube.
He's just got a thesaurus of like everything to say that's nonsense, basically.
It's a thesaurus, but it was written in 1947.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
He's He's going to drop rubbish next, that's for sure.
Okay, well, I kind of like rubbish.
Rubbish is kind of nice.
Rubbish has its purposes.
We need to make all of these great again.
They're just words you can't take seriously. That's the problem. There are just certain words that, like, they either sound too old, too weak, or too silly, and you just can't possibly take them seriously.
Yeah, I mean, you sound like a cartoon character when you say most of them.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
It's time for Brock and Dalby's Draft.
All right, with Canada Day coming up, I actually watched Gremlins 2 last night, and there's a scene in the movie where they go to the Canadian cuisine restaurant. And I was like, it's not that much Canadian food to have a restaurant.
To have a whole ass menu.
So we're celebrating Canadian cuisine.
Yeah.
With a little draft here this morning. You got first pick. I'm very interested to see what you go with here.
I am so back and forth because I feel like out of the two that I've got, whichever one I pick, you will pick the other. But I think you said it, and I think it is the number one food that people associate with Canada at this point. I think it's the poutine.
Yeah.
I got to take the poutine at number one overall. I think if people find out I have number one overall and I didn't take poutine, that I lose the draft.
Also, I noticed you've changed the way you pronounced it recently.
I've been working on this for 4 years.
You're not a poutine guy, you're a poutine guy.
I spent the first 36 years of my life calling it a poutine, and then I moved out here and I got tired of being yelled at. So my number one pick is a poutine.
So my number one pick, I am going to go with Donair then.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, I am going to go Donair.
Okay.
Donair is so freaking good, man. Coming, of course, from Halifax there. And, I mean, just that sauce, too.
Dude.
The whole thing.
I'm honestly shocked. There's not what I thought you were going to pick. It wasn't even on my list, and I'm disappointed with myself.
Wow, really?
It wouldn't have been my number one. I still would have taken the poutine, but Donair is a great pick.
What do you got for number two?
Number two, I'm going to take the one that I thought maybe you would take first overall, and that's the Canadian Caesar.
Food?
Well, I think, do you not count food and drink as one?
I guess. I mean,
I kind of thought that we would put drink in as well, only because there's such a limited amount of Canadian foods.
Okay.
And I think it is a specifically Canadian thing that you ingest.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Listen, I'll tell you right now.
You know what? Here, hold up. You know what? I'll give you it.
Okay.
Because most Caesars that you get nowadays come with like chicken wings, a burger, all that stuff.
Even at the bare minimum, it's celery.
I'll be a nice guy and I'll let it slide because of that.
All right. Fair enough. What's your number two?
My number two, then, Montreal smoked meat sandwich.
That's a great pick.
Montreal smoked meat sandwich.
Pick.
Go to Schwartz's if you're ever in Montreal. You know the drill.
Yeah.
The bread is so thin, they give you enough meat that you could eat for a week. Like, oh my gosh.
I will wrap it up at number three. You got to have yourself some dessert if we're talking about this, and one of the greatest desserts. And really, this is another one that is pure Canadian, but I've only really discovered it since coming out to this side of the country. Got to go with the beaver tail.
The beaver tail.
Beaver tail is just an absolute sight to behold, man.
With my number three pick, I'm going to wrap up with a classic here. It's going to go ketchup chips.
Ketchup chips has got to be on the list somewhere.
You got to have some ketchup chips. I was debating on, is it the all-dressed or is it the ketchup chip? But I think world-renownedly, ketchup chips is something that people think of when they think of Canada. So.
Can I give you a hot take right here and now that supports your choice? All-dressed chips or just ketchup chips with extra steps?
Says the guy who put a drink on the food draft. Run through your picks one more time.
I got poutine, I got the Caesar, and I got the beaver tail.
I got Donair, I got Montreal smoked meat, and of course, I got the old ketchup chips going there. What do you guys think? What did we miss?
I also just want to put this out there that I should have been able to pick Hawaiian pizza, but I know I would have been bullied for it, so that's on you guys.
It's okay to make wrong decisions.
Absolutely not.
You make them every day.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Ed's word of the day.
Let's see what he's got for us.
Good morning to you. Yeah, today's word, nonplussed. Yep, nonplussed. 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 And it's got two things here. British, at a loss, or perplexed. And in North America, it's not bothered, surprised, or impressed. Yeah, there's a lot of things that go on today that I'm very nonplussed, and if I did understand things, I'd probably have to get my mentality levels checked. Anyways, that's about it. Have a great one. Cheers are up.
All right, your word of the day.
Nonplussed.
I've never heard the British version, the sort of like to be like a loss for words or anything. I have long used the North American version because it's a really classy way of saying you don't give a rat's ass about something.
True.
I have no opinion on this. I could not care less.
I like using it as unimpressed, but I also think I'm going to start referring to things like when I am impressed, it's just plussed from now on.
True. If there is a non-plus, that implies that there has to be a state of being plussed.
It's like, oh my God, I met this kid the other day. He was so smart. I was super plussed about it, dude.
You know, that famous Shania Twain, that don't plus me much.
Yeah. Went out for dinner, got some food. I was really plussed up, dude.
Dude, 5 stars. I haven't been that plussed with a restaurant in years.
Non-plussed.
Met Tim's new girlfriend the other day. Gotta say, plussed.
Yeah. His ex, nonplussed.
Oh, I was nonplussed about her from day one.
Nonplussed. Use it wherever you can.
For more Brock and Dalby, tune in weekday mornings 5:30 to 9.
The Brock and Dalby podcast is brought to you by badshop.ca, the Brock and Dalby merch store. With all proceeds going to the Canadian Cancer Society.